The day you receive the keys to your first home is one of the happiest moments of your life. You unlock the front door. You step inside an empty living room. The walls echo with possibility. You imagine birthdays, family dinners, quiet mornings with coffee by the window, and a future that finally feels stable. For the first time, it feels like you truly belong somewhere. Friends congratulate you. Your family tells you how proud they are. Social media fills with smiling photographs and captions about new beginnings. Everything about the moment says the same thing. You made it. But hidden beneath the celebration is something almost nobody talks about. A silent agreement stretching across decades. 360 monthly payments. 30 years of waking up knowing that a portion of your future income already belongs somewhere else. The strange part is that almost nobody feels trapped on the first day. Because the monthly payment seems manageable. The house feels worth it. The excitement is louder than the obligation. Human beings aren't wired to think 30 years ahead. We think about this month, this paycheck, this weekend. The future feels distant enough that we quietly borrow from it without noticing. And that is why mortgages become so psychologically powerful. They don't arrive as chains. They arrive as dreams. They disguise obligation as achievement. Without noticing it, the house slowly becomes part of your identity. You no longer say, "I have a mortgage." You say, "This is my home." And those two ideas begin to merge. But the strange part is, a mortgage is not just a financial contract. It is a contract with your future time. Every monthly payment quietly purchases another 30 days of obligation. Every year that passes is another year spent moving towards ownership, or another year spent accepting a burden that most people never question. And perhaps the biggest secret of all, the fastest way to pay off a mortgage doesn't begin with money. It begins with changing the way you see it. But the strange part is, most people don't stay in debt because they make terrible financial decisions. They stay in debt because they make perfectly normal ones. The mortgage payment arrives every month. You pay it. The balance drops a little. Life moves on. After a while, the payment becomes as ordinary as electricity or groceries. You stop questioning it. You stop imagining life without it. And that is where the real trap begins. Because once something becomes normal, the human brain stops looking for alternatives. You no longer ask, "How can I pay this off faster?" You simply ask, "Can I afford this month's payment?" It's a subtle shift, but it changes everything. Over time, your entire financial life starts organizing itself around that one obligation. When your salary increases, the extra money disappears into vacations, subscriptions, new furniture, or a newer car. You tell yourself you've earned it. After all, you've been working hard, you've been responsible, you've been paying your mortgage on time. But what most people never realize is that every raise has the power to shorten years of debt or quietly finance a more expensive lifestyle. And most people choose the second option without ever making the decision consciously. Slowly, without noticing it, lifestyle expands faster than freedom. The bigger television, the kitchen renovation, the luxury appliances, the backyard project. None of these purchases feel reckless on their own. They feel deserved, reasonable, normal. And that's exactly why they become dangerous. Because every extra dollar spent maintaining appearances is a dollar that could have been buying back your future. The irony is almost heartbreaking. People work harder to create a better life, then unknowingly create a life that requires them to keep working just as hard. The house becomes more beautiful, but freedom moves further away. The hidden secret isn't simply making extra payments, it's refusing to let every improvement in income become another improvement in lifestyle. Because every time you choose the mortgage over the upgrade, you're doing something far more valuable than saving interest. You're quietly purchasing years of your own life back. What most people never realize is that mortgages are strange. They don't punish you all at once. They punish you slowly. So slowly that you hardly notice. The first few years pass. You make every payment on time. You feel responsible, disciplined, like you're making progress. But then one day, You check your balance, and the number barely seems to have moved. After years of sacrifice, it still feels enormous. It's frustrating, almost unfair. That's because the early years of a mortgage are designed to reward patience, not emotion. And human beings aren't naturally patient. We crave visible progress. We want to see immediate results. It's why spending money feels satisfying today, while saving it often feels invisible. But the strange part is, the people who pay off their mortgages years early rarely make one dramatic decision. They make hundreds of quiet ones. An annual bonus arrives. Instead of upgrading the living room, they reduce the principal. A tax refund appears. Instead of booking a luxury vacation, they shorten the loan. A side hustle earns an extra amount each month. Instead of disappearing into lifestyle inflation, it quietly chips away at debt. From the outside, these decisions look small, almost insignificant. Friends may never notice them. Social media will never celebrate them. There are no applause-worthy photos of someone making an extra principal payment. Freedom is rarely glamorous while it's being built. Over time, those invisible decisions begin working together. One extra payment becomes two. Two becomes six. Six become a year. A year becomes several. What once looked impossible slowly becomes inevitable. The greatest secret isn't earning a massive income. It's refusing to underestimate the power of consistency. Because every extra payment sends a quiet message to your future self. I'm choosing freedom over appearance. I'm choosing peace over pressure. I'm choosing ownership over obligation. And perhaps that's why some people seem to escape the mortgage decades before everyone else. Not because they discovered a magical financial trick, but because they understood something deeper. Small actions repeated with intention eventually become extraordinary outcomes. And by the time the world notices the result, the real work has already been happening quietly for years. But the strange part is, your mortgage may not be the biggest thing keeping you from financial freedom. Your habits might be. Every month, millions of people make their mortgage payment. Then, almost without thinking, they reward themselves. A new gadget, a nicer dinner, an online shopping cart filled with things they didn't know they wanted until 5 minutes ago. Individually, these purchases feel harmless, almost insignificant. After all, you've worked hard, you've earned them, and that's exactly how the mind justifies them. Human beings are remarkably good at rewarding effort before the reward has actually been achieved. We celebrate surviving another month instead of moving closer to freedom. Slowly, without noticing it, comfort becomes expensive. The subscription you rarely use, the car upgrade that stretched your budget, the designer furniture bought on financing, the vacation charged to a credit card. None of these decisions seem connected to your mortgage, but they all compete with the same money. The money that could have been shortening your loan, the money that could have been reducing years of interest, the money that could have been buying back your future. What most people never realize is that paying off a mortgage early isn't usually an income problem, it's an attention problem. Your attention is constantly being pulled toward things that create temporary excitement instead of permanent relief. Modern life is built around convincing you to upgrade. A bigger television, a smarter phone, a newer kitchen, a larger home. But almost nobody advertises the feeling of waking up with no mortgage payment. Because freedom isn't flashy. It doesn't generate clicks. It doesn't impress strangers. It simply creates peace. And peace is one of the rarest forms of wealth. The people who quietly eliminate their mortgage years ahead of schedule aren't necessarily more disciplined. They've simply trained themselves to ask one powerful question before every unnecessary purchase. Would I rather own this item or own more of my future? Because every extra dollar sent towards your principal is doing something invisible. It's quietly removing weeks, then months, then years from a debt that once seemed impossible to escape. And one day, without fanfare or celebration, you'll realize that the house no longer owns a piece of your life. You finally own it, and perhaps, for the first time, you truly own your time as well. Perhaps the greatest luxury in modern life isn't a bigger house. It isn't a luxury car. It isn't designer furniture or a perfectly renovated kitchen. Perhaps the greatest luxury is waking up knowing that no one owns a piece of your future anymore. Imagine that morning. The same sunlight enters through the same windows. The same coffee brews in the same kitchen. The same home surrounds you. Nothing has changed, and yet everything has changed. There is no countdown to the next mortgage payment. No quiet anxiety when work becomes stressful. No hidden fear of missing a paycheck. Just space. The kind of space that money alone cannot buy. The strange part is, most people spend decades trying to look wealthy. Very few spend those same decades trying to become free. Our culture celebrates bigger homes, bigger renovations, bigger lifestyles. But freedom is almost invisible. No one posts a photo of an extra principal payment. No one applauds the family that quietly chose a modest vacation so they could reduce years of debt. No one notices the couple that resisted upgrading their home when their income increased. Yet those quiet decisions are often the ones that transform an entire future. Over time, the extra payments become forgotten. The sacrifices become memories, but the freedom remains. It changes the way you work, the way you raise your children, the way you handle unexpected setbacks, the way you sleep at night. What most people never realize is that paying off a mortgage faster isn't really about saving interest. It's about reclaiming choices. The ability to say no to a job that drains you. The ability to take a risk you've postponed for years. The ability to spend more time with the people who matter most. Because every payment you eliminate creates room for something far more valuable than money. It creates room for life. And perhaps that's the hidden secret no bank advertisement will ever tell you. A mortgage is designed to finance a home, but the way you choose to repay it can quietly determine the quality of the decades you spend inside it. In the end, the people who build lasting wealth aren't always the ones who earn the most. They're often the ones who understand that the real goal was never just to own a house, it was to own their time, their peace, and ultimately, their future.